Hi and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me. So today I would like to run through a very brief history of my journey into reel-to-reel tape and lead up to talking about this particular tape here. As you can see, it's from UltraAnalogue recordings, Mendelssohn Piano Trio number 1, Opus 49. It's a live recording featuring Alena Baeva on violin, Narek Hakhnazaryan. Don't ask me to repeat that, and apologies for my pronunciation, Narek, if you watch this. And Vadym Kholodenko on piano. Narek plays the cello there. And it's a stunning tape. There's 3 exceptional musicians, world class. They've each won many international awards. I think Alena Baeva was the youngest ever winner of a Tchaikovsky competition or something. I can't remember the exact details, but they are very, very, very highly regarded international award-winning musicians who are regularly playing all around the world with very notable orchestras. And I'll get all back to this, but to put this into context, I want to just talk about my journey into tape and how I got into tape. So I've worked in the hi-fi industry for over 35 years, and I've been a very kind of passionate vinyl fan for all that time. And by I think it was 2013 that I first heard tape. So by that point in time, my vinyl playing system was pretty good. I had the Clear Audio Master reference, which I'll put a little image in here. I had the Aesthetics IO Eclipse phono stage, which I still use to this day. And these are really quite high end. I mean, tens of thousands of pounds of investment in these products. And I had thousands and thousands of records. And anyway, so early 2013, I was visiting one of my then clients, Dave Corley of Time Step. And Dave had, he had an SME turntable. He was, obviously, products that you'll well know, and are certainly considered, high end, if not very high end. And he had a Technics RS 1500 tape deck, which is quite a handsome beast. And I've always been attracted to tape decks for the look. I mean, they just look undeniably cool. But anyway, Dave put on this tape, Dave Brubeck, Jazz Impressions of Japan, I think. And it just struck me that, wow, this is really good. This is not inferior to vinyl. It just made me think, okay, I need to investigate tape because it's not just cool looking. It actually sounds really good. Now, I mean, the Technics RS 1500 is a very, very nice machine. And if you look back into the sort of price list, Technics price lists of the early 80s, it was notably more expensive, I think, than the SL10, which was their then flagship turntable. So, an RS 1500, if Technics were making a tape player of that ilk now, it would likely be £25,000-30,000 and more. Not because they're trying to take the mick, just because that's the degree of electronics, engineering, and technology that is involved in a high-end reel-to-reel tape machine, and that's a commercial machine. So, go back to 2013. Dave Corley, he was restoring these machines. He had several RS 1500s and was restoring them for sale. So it didn't take long for me to buy one. And then shortly afterwards in that year at the Whittlebury Hall show, hi-fi show, Chasing the Dragon Records, which is a label run by audiophile Mike Valentine, were demonstrating the difference between analog and digital recordings. And Mike had brought along his Studer A812 to do the demonstration. And I have to say, I was just, I was gobsmacked. My jaw dropped at the sight and sound. The 8812 instantly became the most desirable source component in my world there is. It was the first time I'd seen a Studer in the flesh, so to speak, or heard one, and it was jaw dropping. Subsequently, a few years later, I managed to pick one up, so I'm absolutely delighted about that. But anyway, going on from there, keeping the timeline going, we get to Munich 2014, the high-end show Munich, which I go to pretty much every year. That was when I saw what I would consider the first master copy, and this was a copy of a master, an MPS master of Oscar Peterson. I just had to buy it and play it. Now, at that point in time, I only had the Technics, which was an NAB equalization only reel-to-reel machine, and the Oscar Peterson tape was CCIR. So ultimately, I needed to get myself another reel-to-reel machine, and subsequently, I bought the A807, which I also got from Dave Corley, as it happens. And then, of course, I'm experiencing, proper studio recorders, playing back proper studio master copies, and you're entering yet another world. And this is all from the perspective of someone who'd been playing 20, 30, 40, 50,000 pound vinyl front end hi-fi for decades, and was very aware of that world, and had heard all sorts of the highest end turntables and cartridges and the like that you can get. And it was really as a result of that in November 2014 that I started the Reel Rambler website. Now, I really did this because I'd seen this Oscar Peterson tape and the company that was making it, and these are small labels. They're run by fanatics. There's very little money behind them. There's very little market for it, and they're basically a bunch of people all running passion projects. And so I started the Reel Rambler to promote these tiny little tape labels, these guys who are doing this, because there isn't much of a market for them. Doing PR in the hi-fi industry, I had the contacts and I had the skills, so I just did this off my own back as a charity, if you like, a service to, the truth of ultimate sound. Someone needed to do it, and I wanted to promote the guys who make these tapes so that I had something to play. I wanted to promote the guys that service tape recorders, because their business was fast whittling away. Tape had, by this time tape was really a dead format. It had stopped being, no one had made a tape recorder in this century, so past 2000 really, I think. And it was pretty much a dead format, and I just wanted to do this for these people because, for purely selfish reasons, if you like, I wanted to have tapes to play, and I wanted to have people who could service my tape recorder. So fast forward a couple of years, I've got the website, and I get contact from various people doing this around the world. Now, Marco Teo from Open Reel Records in Italy got in touch with me, and I met him at Munich. I'll pop a little picture here. And he gave me very kindly a sampler tape, which was just mind-blowing. I've subsequently bought many of his tapes. And Ed Pong from UltraAnalogue had got in touch. They're based in Canada. And just to describe Ed a little, he's a retired dentist who is also, I think, a part-time luthier. He's built a violin and cello. He's built a cello and a violin himself, and is passionately involved in the sound of these things, or passionately loves the sound of these things. And to me, it's like, well, how does a Guarneri differ from a Stradivari? I've heard the names of these things. I know they're kind of hallowed territory amongst violinists and cellists and the like, but to actually experience and hear the difference of these things, I was intrigued as an audiophile, as a music lover. And so I learned a bit more about Ed and what they do, and what he does, and how purist he was really, and so to sort of explain a little bit more about UltraAnalogue. I mean, he set up a studio in his home first of all, with a live performance space with a studio. He has two Studer A80 master recorders, which I've subsequently bought one. They are, they've got a bit of a cult following. They were they were the master recorder from 1970 all through the 70s and most of the 80s, frankly. But as if that wasn't good enough, Ed has had them modified very, very heavily. He's had all of the audio electronics replaced with sort of silver-wired, valve-based electronics. He's fitted battery power supplies for the audio circuitry. He's had bespoke made by a chap called I think Tony Marr, who's a audiophile valve guru. They've had made a beautiful microphone preamp again, which I'll pop pictures of all this. And this uses it's silver wound transformers, transformers wound with pure silver wire. Silver's obviously the best conductor that there is, so it's it's sonically, if you go to the cuckoo land end of audiophilia, then everything's silver wired. So silver wound transformers, all the wiring silver throughout the entire system. The valves that are or tubes, depending on whether you're stateside or not, used in this microphone preamp are Western Electric 437As driving Western Electric 300Bs, which are just absolute classic kind of the unicorn's horn of vacuum tubes. And the signal goes from microphone to the microphone preamp to these tape recorders. There's no mixing desk, there's no production, there's no mastering, there's no limiting, there's no equalization, none of this. It's so pure. Microphone preamp, Studer A80 with this silver wired vacuum tubed, battery powered all the way down. And when you buy a copy, incidentally, like this, Ed has a second A80, similarly treated with all the silver and valves and everything else, and he makes one at a time a one-to-one copy of his original recorded tape to what you buy, and it's something else. It really, really, really is. So anyway, that's kind of UltraAnalogue recording in a nutshell. And if we go back to this tape really, and particularly the musicians and their instruments on this. So Alena Baeva, I first heard of, frankly. I hadn't heard of her before, but I get her. So we're now in 2018, and I tried a couple of Ed's tapes and was very impressed. And he sends me a message and he said, "Oh, David, I'm flying to London, in a couple of weeks' time for a concert, and you should come along. It'd be great to meet up." And I thought, "Oh, well, absolutely. He's flying all the way from Canada to London. I can certainly drive there to meet up with this guy." And it was an Alena Baeva concert, and she was playing with the London Philharmonic at the Royal Festival Hall, I think. So I went along, and again, I'll put some pictures here. It was a beautiful concert, really, really, really beautiful. It's great to meet Ed. And then 6 months later, in June 19, Ed got in touch again. He was flying back to the UK. Ed was flying over to Oxford to see Elena play again, and she was playing with the Oxford Philharmonic. This time she was doing the Schumann violin concerto. I'm not sure if I mentioned the London gig was Tchaikovsky violin concerto, which is a favourite piece. So again, got to see and hear Elena play again which was wonderful. And on that instance, even got to meet her backstage afterwards, which was quite awesome, really. Yeah, became really intrigued and loved the sound. And that's when I found a little bit more about the instruments that are being played. So Alena Baeva, she plays and this information's on her website, and I'll put links to that below. But she plays a del-gesu Guarneri of Cremona violin, which I think dates from the very early 1700s, maybe 1720, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. And Narek plays Joseph Guarneri cello, and Joseph was del-gesu's father. So it's kind of, and these are rivals to Stradivari, and I do believe regarded in the similar level of wonder, if you like. So that's really interesting. The piano that Vadym plays is Ed's. Obviously, he doesn't travel with a piano, and that's a Steinway B that Ed has had modified, I think, with Hamburg hammers. I'm not quite sure what Hamburg hammers are, and modified bass strings. But these are tweaks that, if you're in the know, are very valid and precious. But you've basically got three incredibly gifted musicians playing, literally kind of museum standard instruments. I know, is it Leonard Kogan? Very, very famous Russian violinist. He played a del-gesu Guarneri violin, or I think he had two of them. And that's the level of what we're talking about here. So to hear these instruments played by this level of just exceptional touring musician, worldwide competition winning musicians, and recorded so vividly and directly, it really is something else. It really is something else. So anyway, I've been asked before whether I could actually play my system, and I'm thinking, because this is not mainstream label, I didn't actually ask Ed this, but I'm going to give it a go. So I'll insert now a clip of me just pressing play on the A80, and bear in mind, this is just my iPhone sat on a tripod between the speakers, so who knows what this is going to sound like. Clearly nothing like it will actually sound in the room, but it'll give you some idea maybe. So here we go, over to me. Right, well, if that worked, it worked, and you've heard it. If it didn't, I will have probably edited it out and reposted this video. We'll see, whether YouTube decide to block or mute the video for me. Anyway, as you can see, I mean, it's just, there's something about a trio for me. The interplay of the violin and the cello and the piano, it's just, I love the way the melodies sort of entwine and play and dance around each other. It's absolutely exquisite. And the sound of the resonance, woody, organic sound of the cello and the violin. I mean, how many times have you heard a violin screech or sort of, sound like your nails on a blackboard, or just like, oh God, that's nasty, it's ratty, it's horrible. And the sound of that violin, that beautiful, beautiful, 1720, I mean, what's that? If it is 1720, I mean, we're talking 1780, 1920, so 300 years old. A 300-year-old instrument being played exquisitely. It's a joy to hear. It's very, 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 very special. And the way, so the sound quality of this is something else. I mean, the music's beautiful. The sound quality is exquisite and something else. Now, as the case with my little YouTube video or iPhone video I've just shot here, which you may or may not have seen, I appreciate this tape here. It's $385, I think it cost me. It's not cheap. I have to say it's less than I spent going to Oxford and staying the night in a hotel, so get things in perspective, But this actually was, this performance that this is of was actually recorded digitally, of course, as well, just on a digital camcorder. And you can actually watch this. I'll put a link here. So, no matter what you do click on this link and have a look, because you can listen to and see the entirety of this performance here for free on your own hi-fi system. And okay, you're not getting all the benefit of the pure analog recording and the pure, valve this and silver that and all the rest of it. But you can hear the music and you'll get a good taster from that. So I think that's probably about it, really. I mean, ultra analog recordings, they really are ultra analog. There is no better word to describe them, really. I mean, the battery power supply, pure silver, valves, vintage 1930s Western electric tubes, and 18th century instruments played by some of the best, most talented musicians in the world today. What more can you ask for? So on that note, I shall wrap this up. I've only got, I know it's been a few tape reviews recently. I will be returning to vinyl. I've got a stack of vinyl there ready to be played and talked about. I have got the Hemiolia Gets Gilberto tape, which I will be talking about. I'll make a video of in the next week or two for definite. But yeah, I will be back with vinyl soon. But thank you for staying with me. Thank you for watching. If you've got this far through, as I say, whatever you do check out the link, which I'll put below as well, to the video of this performance, because it really is worth doing. And just on one final note, I'll put a link to the websites of all of these musicians, but Alena Baeva is actually currently touring the UK and Europe. I think she's somewhere in the UK well, by the time I've edited this and posted it, maybe now, but anyway, thoroughly recommended. Absolutely, utterly beautiful sounding. The sound quality is exceptional. The musicianship is exceptional, and the instruments that they're playing is, you've got to hear it once. You've got to hear this sort of stuff. Okay, thanks for watching. Catch you soon. Bye.